Hey now, good morning. Judy Moulton, Grateful Mindset Properties radio show host. Thanks, folks, for listening each week. I'm grateful for my audience, grateful for bringing a tad of real estate news, art, science, human interest, special guests from the local area and beyond. I'm also grateful for healing, and you probably will hear some of that in my voice today, that I've got a cold and I'm getting over it. But I'm taking things slowly, and, I'm grateful for that reminder to kind of slow down, and, if we don't slow down, then we got to play catch up. So I hope you hear that. If you've been running ragged and just running too fast, maybe it's just a reminder to just slow down, and self-care and all those kind of things that are important to us, right? Because we got to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before we can put it on anybody else. So anyway, so you might hear my raspy voice, and maybe you'll like it, and you'll say, hey, can you bring it back next week? So thanks for listening. I'm grateful for my mindset, and I'm grateful to have a special guest today. I've got Bill Bennett. He's the VP of Mortgage Lending at Guaranteed Mortgage, and they are the second largest mortgage lender in the country. And Bill works here locally in the Asheville, North Carolina metro area. And I'll be bringing him on in just a little bit after I talk about some local news, some local and national news. Actually, he'll be talking about interest rates today, so I won't be talking about that. So he'll be up in a few minutes, but let me just talk briefly share a little bit about what's going on here locally. So right now, what we got going on, there's a lot of new listings right now. We've got a slew of new listings. It's actually more than I've seen in a while. Here we are in September, and, August through November, sometimes they're our biggest months in terms of inventory. We've got more. People may be putting stuff on, for various different reasons. Everything under the sun, they're moving. They moved here and want to move somewhere else. Whatever the situation is. Maybe it's interest rates. I don't know. But again, Bill will talk more about that. But anyways, so we've got about 64 more or less listings right now on the market. And if you want to know more about that, like Judy Moulton, Grateful Mindset Realty Radio House, be sure to reach out to me, 828-290-0940. You can also check out www.gratefulmindsetproperties.com. And I come to you live every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I'm coming from WHKP.com or WHKP 107.7 FM or 1450 AM. But you can check out our radio show online at GratefulMindsetProperties.com. Just scroll down on our first page and you can see hear some of our previous shows. You can also catch them on Spotify, podcasts on Spotify, podcasts on Apple. We put them on Facebook, Insta, all on social media. So I'd love to hear from you. I'm a consumer advocate. I do this radio show. I volunteer all around anywhere that I possibly can. And I love doing it. I love having guests on. And if you have somebody you'd like to see on the show, please feel free to reach out, 828-290-0940. So new listings. Let me talk a little bit more about those. So median price point across the nation, 350s to 400s. We definitely fit in that grouping. We've got quite a bit. The majority of the houses that we've got listed are in that price point. We have a few that are over 500,000. Anywhere from 500 and above, really about 800,000 and above in Henderson County, we call luxury. They tend to sometimes sit a little longer. Properties that sit a little longer, it might be price. Price might need to be adjusted. It might need more work. They may be listed for less than 400, 350, 300, and may need work. Prices in the 300 price point tend to need quite a bit of work. They're more of your fixer-uppers, including your double wides, tend to be in that price point. Unless you're really going further out, 45 minutes anywhere outside of Henderson, outside of Buncombe County. You might find things for less than that. But we're pretty much on par there in that 350, 400 price range, that medium price point. We've got some in $1 million and up that are happening right now. Right here in Hendersonville County, the orchards at Flat Rock, the orchards at Chimney Rock. Quite a bit of the orchards properties I noticed this week, seem to be on sale right now. So if you like the orchards at all, they built a lot of properties, especially between 2020 and now. They've got some new builds that are coming. So that's definitely something to check out. You can call or text me if you want to know more. We've got some in Fletcher and Saluda. There's a great piece of property here on Cambridge Drive in Hendersonville that's only $385. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1/2 bath. That's a good price. It does need a little bit of work, but hey, that might be something you want to check out. Right now, all my listings have been sold. I've got a lot of buyers that I'm working with, but I'm also looking for some new listings. So if you want to list with me, feel free to reach out to gratefulmindsetproperties.com or shoot them all at 828-290-0940. Some other things to talk about. We've got some back on the market. We've got quite a few of those. And back on the market, properties fall out of sale, they go pending, or it'll say pending or contingent or under contract and due diligence, under contract and due diligence no show, under contract and due diligence show. Properties fall back on the market for any reason or no reason. Someone's having a bad hair day during that due diligence period. They say, hey, you know what? I decided not to move. I'm going to stick to where I am. Something happens, a job change, financial change, whatever the reason may be. So there's quite a few properties that are back on the market. The most I've seen, I think, since this year, we've got about 12 properties back on the market. A few here in Hendersonville. There's one, on Canoga, which is nice. It's on Canoga Road. 947 Canoga for $429, and the Twin Oaks subdivision was built in 1999 for $429. That's actually really good. There's also one on Thornberry Road in Cantrell Hills, built in 2023, so a new build, $528 change. So it went from under contract no show to back on the market. You want to know more about that, please reach out and I'll tell you more. You want a real estate review, same. We also have some price decreases, not too many, about 22, and price increases. We got a handful, about 5 of those. Again, price increases. I know people are like, oh my God, things are increasing. Yes, believe it or not, we do see price increases as well. And we've got some coming soon. Now, price increases tend to be a lot of times for your new construction and so on. They also can be for something that holds a lot of value besides new construction, move-in ready, et cetera. Your refreshers tend to be like in that 350, 300 price range, as I was mentioning earlier, or fixer-uppers. Anyways, that is all I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to save my voice and let Bill Bennett, as I mentioned, VP here, mortgage lending, guaranteed rate mortgage. He works here locally, but they have a national reach, and I want to let him talk a little bit about what he does, what brought him here today, and what he wants to talk about.
Good morning, Judy. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the show with me and being patient.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so the market's crazy right now.
Tell me about it. I know interest rates just dip a little bit too.
Yeah, so we're down a little bit from the past 3 weeks, but in general we are moving up. We're I think we're in the 7s, low 7s right now. Okay. So, but like you said, the inventory is coming up a little bit, and there's still opportunities out there. I try to, personally, as a loan officer, I try not to sell the rate, really steer them away from the rate. And I like to look at the bigger financial picture and just sort of, kind of break it down with everybody's budget. And is this the right time to buy? Is this the right time in your life to buy? and then the rate at that point is sort of just a temporary situation.
Talk about that, like, right, what makes it, right time to buy, and what's, obviously you can't talk about, what's right for any specific person. You can sort of talk in generics there, but tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on, one question I always ask is just sort of how old they are, right?
Sure.
And where in life are they? At what point are they have kids? Are they moving for a job? Are they older? Are they going to lose, are they going to be empty nesters, all those types of things, and then try to figure out what's their best situation, because right now the prices are up, right, and the rates are up. So you have two sort of systemic problems where you have this low inventory, which is causing a constraint in the sort of supply and demand side, but the demand is up because there's a lot of people moving to this area.
It's a beautiful place to be.
It is. I mean, we see a lot of big city, moving people from the big cities moving here, and I think a lot of that's just because of the price point. They can live in their San Francisco bathroom, in a tub and a bathroom for, however much a month, and then they can, move here and have some land, and as long as they have internet, that's always like a big requirement these days, because there's a lot of people, working remotely. So. So you have sort of the two sides. You have the supply and the demand side that are both getting a little bit punished with, just how the market's working right now. So it's interesting. But there's still opportunities. There's still good investments. There's still good purchases. There's still, in the rates. The rates are just sort of, they are what they are right now. They need to be this high to snuff out the inflation. So, kind of moving forward, you have to look at the big picture. Like the rates right now are just what they are right now. But how long are you going to be in this house? How, what are your bigger picture plans?
So really, like a financial advisor, you really try to look at the whole picture, the whole person, and all that, or people, in the aspect. Yeah,
that's always. I mean, I always say that I'm not a financial advisor, but we can look at your budget, we can look at your numbers, we can try to figure out, like I had a borrower. They were having trouble finding a place, and their budget was right in about the $450 range, which, as you know, it's a tough spot. Mm-hmm. It's a very competitive spot. Mm-hmm. And what they ended up doing was they found something. It was sort of their starter home, and they were moving here with remote work and had jobs and everything, so that the finances were fine. But kind of through talking with them, they decided, let's look at this place over here that's $320,000 that needs a little bit of work. Their plan is they're going to have kids, and they're going to kind of, settle here and sort of start to plant their roots and move forward. So what they did was, I thought was really smart. As we kind of talked them through it, they bought the $320,000 place. Nice. They're going to put some money into it, and then, either in 2 years look at refinancing or stepping up and selling that and buying something bigger.
So they made a choice that was like, okay, let's live within our means and be practical.
Be practical right now as sort of things are a little tighter. Even though they have jobs lined up, it works out. But at the same time, you never know. So, when you sort of, make a big transition like that, you want to, err on the side of caution a little bit. So I think they made a really smart choice. I think they're going to have that $320,000 place in 2 years, probably sell it for who knows what, for something, where
did they find a house for $320,000?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Was it in Buncombe County?
Near Maggie Valley.
Okay, so Haywood?
Yeah, Haywood.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like 45 minutes out of town. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and that's part of it. What the proximity to town is. That's always the big game around here.
Right.
How close can you get without?
Yep. I just showed property yesterday, which is like driving there. You're Buncombe County, Henderson, Henderson.
On the line.
Yeah, and it ended up being in Buncombe, even though it's listed in Hendersonville, and but they're willing to drive 45 minutes to work because they want views and they want space, and and that was their caveat. Just have no more than 45-minute drive.
Yeah, and I've noticed a lot of when they come from bigger cities, like that commute, like a 45-minute commute with no traffic sounds great to them, right. Versus an hour and a half of traffic and all that stuff. So so I can see the benefit on that side too for someone moving here. But at the same time, it's a little scary that there's so many people moving here. So
it's a trade-off. Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful place to be. So tell me, so guaranteed rate mortgage.
Guaranteed rate. They're based out of Chicago. So if you go to Chicago and go to see the White Sox play, they play at Guaranteed Rate Stadium.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So and they just announced last week that we're now the second largest lender,
right.
Which is great.
What makes you the second largest lender?
Volume.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have I can't remember how many branches we have in the country. I think there's 700 or so. So we serve all 50 states.
Okay.
I'm personally licensed in North and South Carolina and Georgia, so kind of our borders. But we can lend in all 50 states, and which is nice. And the biggest thing is we have sort of that big bank mentality.
Okay.
And we have a lot of options. We have direct lines with Fannie and Freddie. So what happens there is we have that big bank mentality, but we work on a local level, right? So you're speaking just with me versus going to, a big bank and not being able to get a hold of anybody on the weekend and, that type of thing. So I don't really have hours. I do whatever my realtor friends need me to do, right?
That's right. You heard it here live.
That's it, and get it done. So, because time is always of the essence, and
right.
And things come up, and we got to make sure that.
So evenings and weekends,
Oh yeah.
You're still.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember talking to you I think I was on a hike or you were on a hike. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's like we're still working.
Exactly. So we have that big bank mentality with that sort of local concierge service, okay. Which makes it, really a nice situation for people, especially first-time home buyers. They got a lot of questions. They want to ask, about everything, and they're Googling things at home, which I don't recommend. Because things change in the mortgage industry, seems like every couple weeks. There's always a new regulation, a new guideline change.
Well, and I was going to ask about that. So, I mean, I tell all my clients that, I was just talking to my brother about this morning, I always sort of recommend, everyone always, when you're a realtor, everyone always asks you those kinds of questions, about rates, you really need to talk. Just like you said, I'm not a financial advisor. I am not a loan officer.
Right.
I know things secondhand, but things change daily. I mean, there's new products, regulations. I mean, all this stuff going on. So you really need to talk to someone who lives and breathes it, who knows what they're doing with, rates and what packages are out there.
Exactly. It's just as important as you having your finger on the pulse, as it is for us. So making sure that we understand what's coming, what the predictions are. Is now the right time? Should we wait? Should we go? All those things, and then also figuring out what products might be best for them.
Can you talk about some products that are out there, like you think that people would want to know about? What would be something you might say for this area, or whatever, like what's out there right now that might be sort of importance?
Yeah, I mean, guaranteed rate. So, I mean, we really do almost everything.
Okay.
Almost everything.
Gotcha.
We just started doing single wides,
okay,
which is interesting. Okay. And then all the way up through jumbo.
So single wide and double wides, obviously, because I know there's not many. I don't know anyone that does singles. So that's the first time.
Yeah, we just launched that I think a month ago or so.
Just to put a pin or ask questions specifically about that. So with manufactured, I remember hearing it has to be no more than 20 something years old. Is that still true?
Yeah, 19. Well, manufactured would be 19. Oh, I'm going to get it wrong. 1976 or 1972. It has to be built after that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
One of those two dates.
Okay. Yeah, because I know there's still some component of that.
And double wides now are. I mean, there's some really nice situations.
Same with modular.
And modular.
You can't tell. You
can't tell, and they put these nice porches on them, and they're some of the prices on them are interesting.
Yeah, I've seen 320, 350 for a double wide.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if it works, it works. It doesn't have the stigma it's sort of probably used to.
No, and again, if it's a newer build or a remodel, it's been well taken care of, remodeled, etc. Just like a home, as long as it's been maintained, the belief is like a car or anything. Yeah. My daughter's car is 20 years old, Volkswagen, 20 years old, still running.
Yeah, still running, still. Still making it happen. Yeah, might not have the resale value, but
right. Yeah, not much.
At that point, you're just looking for survival of the vehicle. Exactly.
But so sorry, I get tangential and jump around. No, so I apologize. But so products.
So products, anything from single wides up to jumbo. So everything in between. So we do all the conventional products. Like I said, we have direct ties with Fannie and Freddie. So we have some flexibility in there. We hold some of our own loans. So we're considered a correspondent lender. So we're not a broker. We're not a bank. We're in the middle. We're sort of a correspondent lender. So we set up the loans, and then we, eventually, we either hold them or they get sold to the different companies. Which
do hold some.
Yeah. Which is super common these days.
Yeah. Not everybody knows that though. They sold off the next day.
Yeah, it's true. And that's sort of just part of the process.
Right. It's not good or bad. It just is.
Yeah. It's just you're sending your payment to a different address at some point.
Question about products I get asked a lot. So one would be bridge loans, another would be construction versus remodeling.
Yeah, we have construction to permanent loans. We have renovation loans, which we're doing a lot of right now.
Yeah,
a lot of renovation loans because people have equity in their homes and maybe they're not able to buy up to the next home, and so they're ending up just putting money back into the home that they're in, and just creating more equity and building the value. Because
so whether they're going to keep it, sell it, whatever, just renovation.
It keeps them, it keeps their options open.
So renovation versus, this is a personal question, renovation versus construction. My husband's a GC nationally licensed, does a lot of remodeling or renovations as well as building. So for a GC, is there anything special in terms of getting a construction versus a renovation?
Yeah, so construction, so we have some like builder loans, like specifics to building like developments and things like that. Okay. And then we have the renovation loans, which are more specific to, I'm trying to think, there was someone contacted me the other day. They found this, it used to be like a halfway house type thing. So it wasn't laid out like a typical, single family home.
Sure.
And they were asking.
Churches, yeah.
Yeah, churches, the condotels, and old fire stations, things like that.
Barn dominiums.
Yeah, barn dominiums. Yeah. all of those would fall into that sort of renovation process where you're, you're able to take out a loan and work with somebody that has, the understanding that we're going to convert this from one thing to the other, and that's how the loan process is factored in.
So I'm going to be talking to Bill after the show ends about my renovation construction loan question in more detail. Okay, and then rates, obviously they vary, but construction tends to be, if I remember correctly, construction tends to be a higher rate than a renovation.
And the reason for that is because of the length of time.
Yeah.
When you set something up like that and you have, you're basically holding that money for a long period of time, the rate is always going to be a little higher.
So construction, you're holding it longer.
You know, if it's 9 months or a year, or you know, however quickly they're building homes these days. You know, depending on the size and all that stuff.
So then somebody might be looking, hey, you know, versus a recast, right? Do we still have recasts out there?
Yeah. You can still recast. You can still, you know, throw a recast is basically throwing, you know, a chunk of money towards your principal to get your payment down. That's a, you know, totally normal thing.
Or getting equity out of your home. I mean, there's many options.
Yeah,
right?
and
talk to people.
HELOCs is another thing that I'm doing a lot of right now. Okay. So that's a home equity line of credit, and
what's a HELOC rate right now, roughly?
So we do a blended rate.
Okay.
So we have a lot. So say you have a homeowner that is, you know, they got in and they got the good rate of, you know, 2 point whatever or 3 point whatever, right? That's, you know,
5 point whatever
or 5 point whatever, which is, you know, better than 7 point whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, instead of, so say you have like 2.8, 2.75, whatever. You're not going to go through the process of what's it called? Refinancing. Sorry. Refinancing.
You don't know. I haven't.
I was like, oh, blanked out. Refinancing at that point because
adopting my brain right now.
I know, right? Refinancing at that point because you're going to lose your good rate. So what people are doing is taking out a HELOC and you know, taking that equity out and putting that money. Our HELOC, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do anything specific with it. You can go on vacation for all week.
Is it variable though?
No, it's a fixed rate.
That's nice.
And it's a lump sum fixed rate.
That's nice.
And it hits your account.
I mean, you tell my brother to give you a call.
It hits your account in 3 to 5 days. So I mean, it's a pretty slick process. I think during COVID, a lot of people got into some debt, and it's been great for that, helping them pay down their debt, trying to get themselves, you know, back to, you know, some stable finances. So HELOCs, personal loans, construction loans, renovation loans.
So does anybody do a bridge anymore?
Yeah, I mean, there's still options for that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And explain bridge. So
a bridge loan is basically if you're buying a new home and you need a loan prior to selling your other house. So you need that sort of money between the two time periods of, you know, buying a new home and having the other home sold. So that's where a bridge loan would come in. But, you know, you don't always have to do a bridge loan. There's other ways around it. And that's, again, why I like to just try to dive into the bigger picture and see what the option is. The bridge loan really the best thing?
Absolutely.
You know, look at the timing, look at the rate difference, do all the math to figure out what's going to be your cheapest option, you know, most affordable option. So there's a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot. No, I mean, and I'm sort of showing my you know, the vast or non-knowledge, you know, sort of what I learned.
That's why we work as a team.
That's right.
That's the whole point.
I couldn't do what I do without you, and vice versa. I mean, I totally get it. And yes, I have cash buyers too, but there's certainly more on the lending side.
We have something for cash buyers too.
What do you have for cash buyers?
So basically, you can do 100% financing for a cash buyer.
Okay.
If you're not a cash buyer, meaning so against a cash buyer, right? So if you have a cash buyer and you're going to be competitive with that cash buyer, right? We're going to take someone we're going to give them a regular conventional mortgage, and then we're going to give that back, in about 80% of that back after the time frame.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Right, so you'll be able to refinance that and get that money back.
Okay, got it. Okay, great. Anything you want to leave folks with, you know, 2 sentences or less, anything you want to say, hey, you know, remind people of your name, company, anything you want to tell people before we end for today?
Yeah, it's just, Bill Bennett, guaranteed rate, mortgage lender. Give me a ring, 843-442-5797. Even if you just want to run some scenarios and just sort of figure out what your buying power is, what your options are. We have an application that you can fill out. It takes maybe 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes. And it's a super fast, easy process. And, you know, at least that gives us it helps us paint a picture to see what your options are. And, you know, and see where we can go from there.
Thanks, Bill. Bill Bennett, VP, guaranteed rate mortgage here in the Asheville metro area. He's a great guy. Met him a few months back, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to have him on the show. Thank you, listeners. Saturdays, 9 a.m. If you miss it, go on GratefulMindsetProperties.com. Coming to you live Saturdays, 9 a.m., 107.7 FM. Thank you. Grateful.